Hello, Facebook. Super excited for this Zoom via Facebook Live today with my panel. We are back. Welcome back, Alina, Carolyn, and Trish. And welcome in all to all the followers. This is going to be a really big topic today that we're going to cover that's going to blow off the lid on everything with our food. So today's topic is toxins in our food. And this is a big one. So this is going to wake up a lot of people. And, I was not awake to this until, I had probably my late 40s, early 50s with diseases from myself on health issues. And that's when I started waking up with our food. I had no idea that food was actually what was in our food. I thought we had guidelines, regulations, all of that. So this is going to be alarming for a lot of people. So we're each going to take turns talking about what our research was on our food. So I'm going to go first with this. And I'm probably going to, I've researched some and then things that I've already known. So then I'm going to go ahead and spill it. So we're going to start with everything that we have, whether it's corn, soy, wheat, oats, and cotton, have been sprayed. So it's genetically modified. So we are actually getting in chemicals from it being sprayed, and then we are eating it. So that is an alarming thing that's been happening pretty much since the 60s. We've also have food additives, chemicals, color additives, contaminants, and food dyes in a lot of our foods that we eat. We have 15,000 synthetic food chemicals in our food that we're eating. There was actually, I'm going to stop there real quick. There's actually a documentary on Netflix that was sharing from a store manager point of view. He said about majority of the store was not good to eat. I saw this years ago and was like, what? We have no idea what is going on in our food industry. In fact, there's 30 companies in the US that are banned in Europe and that we're still allowed to eat. When we think we're going to the store to get safe and healthy food, we have to think again. We have BPAs, phthalates, and PFAs in our food and packaging, and which is causing heart disease, obesity, diabetes, and the big C. Our food packaging changed in 1960s. And it was also, when they did change, it was a hormone disruptor. And we've had more processed foods now than we've ever had our whole lifetime. And these processed foods are bioengineered, which means they're accepting these dangerous levels of chemicals in our box foods and canned foods, and even fresh foods and frozen foods. Nothing is exempt in that. But they are now labeling it. So if you pick up something in the store and it says in little writing bioengineered, do not grab that. Do not eat that. We've got metals, microplastic, nitrates, in a lot of our foods. And I don't know if you've heard of potassium bromate. That's a big one. Titanium dioxide is another big one. There are in a lot of our prepackaged foods that are completely dangerous. There's one that I found out years ago called TBHQ, which is a form of gasoline in our Cheez-Its, microwave popcorn, frozen food, and a lot of other things as well. We have got mycotoxins, which is mold, in our coffee and peanut butter. We have high levels of metals that we ingest from our canned foods. The worst, and it depends on what site you're on, of food that is the most toxic is our processed meats, which have high amounts of nitrates, canned food, soda, margarine, foods in a box, popcorn, because it's majority of 99% of our corn is GMO. Fruits and vegetables, even in the frozen section, are sprayed. And we have carrageen, which is a carcinogen, in our coffee creamer and other things. We've got hormones in our milk, and we have farm fresh fish, which is raised with chemicals in the ocean, not wild caught. And we've got parasites in our pork and our sushi and which like raw fish and even not raw fish, depending on what you're getting. And you can't cook pork long enough to get rid of the parasite. They're still alive, which is completely scary. And I'm saving the last thing to talk about, which is our forever chemicals, which is our PFAs. And forever chemicals are in our fertilizer that farmers use. It's given to them actually for free to put on the land and our crops. And then our animals are ingesting it. And we're ingesting the animal and crops. And it's called biosolids, which is affecting millions of people with PFAs. And PFAs are forever chemicals that our body cannot digest. They stay in our system. And this is coming from our food packaging, nonstick cookware, stain resistant on everything, carpet stain resistant, cosmetics, water, and it doesn't break down in our system and ends up in our water supply, then our soil, and then in all of our water supply, soil, crops, meat, and fish, ocean, home gardens from the fertilizer, and even in blood transfusion, blood to blood. 100% in our breast milk, which can cause, the big C, heart disease, preeclampsia, and it's from a lot of products in our water and our soil. That, to me, outbeats everything. I think that trumps everything is our PFAs. That's my opinion. There's so much to know on this topic with toxins, and a lot of us probably don't want to know this. And I could go on, and there's stuff that I've missed, and I know there's cockroaches in our chocolate. I mean, it's just like one thing after another, arsenic in our rice. So we do have to be careful. We're going to talk about the solutions at the end. I'm going to hand this over now to Alina. Alina, why don't you share with us today what you've discovered? Thank you.
Thank you, Angie, for inviting me to your panel today. Wow. Our food here in the USA, loaded with chemicals that are illegal in so many countries. They're protected through lobbyists and those three-letter agencies. I think you know who I mean. It seems like they're not out to protect our health. They're, out to protect the bottom line of the food industry, our medical monopoly. They want to produce easier, cheaper ways that last longer on the shelf, make them more addictive at the expense of our own health. Can you believe, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Angie, that we use over 15,000 food additives in the US, and Europe only uses 400 that are approved? I think it's 400 or 500 that are approved. That is insane. Why are other countries selling the exact same products overseas without these toxic chemicals, but we're being served and sold the most toxic? Why is our government letting US food companies get away with selling and serving its own citizens, you and me, with these harmful ingredients that are banned or they're heavily regulated in Europe and other countries around the world? I have some answers, but I'm not going to get into that Angie will have some solutions for us at the end of our panel discussion. So read your food labels, educate yourself on what they actually are, what they're being used for. You'll find that most of the ingredients listed, or a lot of them, are very, very hard to pronounce. And to me, that means probably you want to avoid them.
Mhm.
Um, we have everyday foods that make us sick, which can cause chronic illnesses, and there's so many to mention, even the C word. The additives in our food are linked to all kinds of health problems. The scariest part about our food system, the most dangerous ingredients are often hiding right there on the label. And most people have no idea what those words mean. The processed foods are loaded with chemicals and additives. For example, inflammation in the body, wrecking your uh, gut health, for example.
Mhm.
Some of the worst offenders to watch out for, and Angie named several, are like your hydrogenated oils that fuel inflammation, damage your arteries. Another one would be high fructose corn syrup, which would spike your blood sugar and drive insulin resistance. Artificial sweeteners imbalances your gut and give you brain fog. MSG can, what do they do? Fatigue, headaches, anxiety. I can attest to that. I avoid that at all costs if I can. There's also carrageenan, which Angie brought up. Food dyes, red number 40, yellow number 5. That's tied to hyperactivity, mood swings, inflammation. The nitrates and nitrites that are in our lunch meats, in our hams, even in our wines are linked to the big C, oxidative stress. Here's another one that really, really got to me when I read this. Propylene glycol, an engine
Mhm.
coolant. What the heck is that doing in our food?
Mhm.
I can go on and on. Glyphosates, think of your cereals, your grains, your oats, corn, soy,
Mhm.
wheat. And a big one is bread,
Mhm.
potassium bromate. Did you know
Mhm.
that it was used as an anesthetic for dogs, or it is used as an anesthetic in dogs, and they put a little bit of that in our bread. Wow. So people, these aren't just ingredients, they're toxins your body has to fight for every single day. Flip the box, read the ingredients. Like I said, if you can't read it, it's probably not, your body's probably not going to be able to process that. Try to stick to single ingredient foods or foods with very, little ingredients, and swap like your junk oils, your seed oils for avocado oil, um, beef tallow, coconut oil, good quality olive oil. They're not all created equal. Remember that. It's not about being perfect. It's about, like, I'm going to say, swapping one meal at a time. Look what's
Mhm.
on your plate. Your food is either going to heal or harm you.
Mhm.
So it's unethical what's going on, and it needs to stop. So I'll hand the baton over to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. That was amazing. You actually brought up a lot of things that I didn't, and I love that. So, and we all kind of had this assignment and ran with it. And I love when you guys are bringing up things that I haven't talked about. I love that. So, and you brought up a lot of good points. So, very well taken, and thank you for sharing. So our next guest is Trish. Trish, what can you tell us on your research on toxins in our food?
I took a little bit of a different spin on because I knew we were all going to be talking about toxins and different things. I wanted to change it up a little bit. And I started thinking when my mom started having hormonal and weight issues back in the 70s.
Mhm.
She was very thin and then she started having issues. And that's when the huge movement for Swanson meals, all these little things that were coming in that were super easy to do because women were working, we were busy, we didn't have time to be in the house. So those toxins got introduced to us in a really nonchalant way. Like, hey, look at this, right? And it got easy. It was easy. But then I went back to like my grandfather and I started remembering Jack LaLanne and all these men that were super testosterone and feeling good and looking good. They had muscles, they had strength. They were eating real food. They didn't have those toxins in their body. And I started realizing, wow, we've got a problem. So I asked ChatGTP if in the 40s we had a problem with low testosterone. Now, testosterone's been something that my friends have been dealing with HRT. Men have been dealing with it. We have a lot of children that are dealing with it, that are having very confused, and it's all toxic food based. So I asked it if in the 1940s we had low testosterone, and it said no. And that told me everything I needed to know, right? So we've been scammed, and we started to get scammed in a very convenient way. And so if you just start saying no, if you just start changing those habits and you really get serious about it, if you're going to come on board with all of us here, and we do the quantum, the C60, and we do touchstone, and we have other various things. If you're coming on with us, you're coming on board the full way. You're not going to be half. Like, you can't do that. Like, the drinking has to stop, the smoking has to stop. The toxins going into your body, you have to really reduce them. They're not going to get away with it perfect, but they have to go away. And you have to get serious about it, because we don't have a lot of time with our wellness. Like, this is a serious situation. So the middle age issues aren't necessarily middle age issues. Those are toxic food issues. And once you start peeling back the onion and the layers, you start realizing, I'm not old. My body is being attacked. So the toxic foods, it's very important to know what they are. And the ladies here, they're covering all that, and they're very smart about that, because it's important. But you need to take a responsibility for that, and know that we weren't designed that way. And so I kind of just took a little small kind of venue over there, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I just know that when I'm on this treatments and I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm reducing as much as possible. Can't get away from it all, but toxins are bad and they're out there. So yeah, that's kind of what I had.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, Trish. I appreciate your outlook on it, and I definitely see that the convenience of foods today versus 50, 60 years ago. Like you said, like with the TV dinners and all the things that are pre-made today is so much like worse for us. And people are picking today, I think, convenience over health. And maybe people are not aware, and that's why we're doing this today, for people to become aware. So thank you so much. Carolyn, what do you have for us today?
Well, hi
Welcome.
everyone. Thank you for letting me join you, beautiful ladies. I always look forward to these. They're so fun. Well, first of all, grocery shopping really isn't that fun anymore, is it? I spend so much time reading labels, and people will be standing around me and they're like, "Well, what are you looking for?" Well, I'm looking for anything that really has more than 4 ingredients, because I'm going to put that back on the shelf. But then I'm going to start looking at the ingredients, and I'm going to pull my phone up and I'm going to start, what the hell is it? Like maltodextrin? What the hell is that? Why is that in our food? We'll get to that later.
Mhm.
So they always tell me, well, it's just a little bit. Well, this is what I say. If I was to give you a glass of poison and told you if you drank it right now today, you would die, would you do it? No, I would hope you would say no. But you're doing the same thing by eating these foods and convincing yourself that it's just a little bit. Well, just a little bit when you're a child accumulates all the way until you die. And usually you're going to die a lot sooner than you would have, because you have now tons of chronic disease and joint pain and inflammation and gut issues and brain issues. And it's all from the just a little bit. So let's stop that nonsense. Change your way of thinking. It's not just a little bit. It will accumulate over time in those PFAS. They're never coming out of your system. I don't even have anything that can get those out of your system. We can make you feel better, but once they're there, they're there. They're not coming out. So spend the time, read the ingredients. If you don't understand what it is, like the other ladies have said, put it back. Just put it back. And am I perfect? No. I just threw away a box of crackers this morning because I was like, oh, I never read the ingredients on this box because I've been eating them forever. Yeah, trash can out. So none of us are perfect. It isn't easy. It's time consuming. Your health literally is your wealth. And I've said this many times. If you are healthy, then those that want to get wealthy off us will not survive. They'll be gone because we are healthy and they're not making money off us anymore. So what I do is I have a little list here of some chemicals and what foods these chemicals are typically found in, because the other ladies have done a good job. So what we have are food additives, preservatives. So sulfites are in dried fruit, wine, bottled lemon and lime juices. Nitrites and nitrites and nitrates are in processed meat like bacon, sausage, and deli meat. We all eat those. Who doesn't love bacon? I mean, but you got to reduce. You got to stop doing it. You got little baby steps. I'm going to stop eating 4 slices of bacon today. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to have 2. All right. It's just a slow process, but bear with me. It'll be worth it in the long time. So you have benzonates. Those are in soft drinks and fruit juices and pickles. I love pickles, but luckily for me, I can get them at the farmer's market and they don't have chemicals in them. So we have artificial sweeteners. Now, artificial sweeteners are found in diet sodas, sugar-free gums, and low-calorie desserts. So you think that these are good for you because they're sugar-free, low-calorie. Well, what do you think they did to make it still taste as good as the real deal? Well, they added chemicals. And, that's kind of like a trick, a bait and switch, like, oh, this is fat-free, low-calorie. Like, oh, I want that. No, now it's even worse. It's worse than if you had eaten the one with the full fat and the full sugar. So there's also colorants, like they talked about with all of the different colors, food colorings that we have. Well, they're in candies, baked goods, soft drinks, processed snacks. There's also flavor enhancers. MSG is a flavor enhancer. Like Alina says, it's going to cause headaches and it caused a whole host of problems. You can do your own research and look that up because we could be on here all day long. Then it's also in canned soups, processed meats, fast foods, snack foods. Then you have emulsifiers and stabilizers that are in ice cream, salad dressing, mayonnaise, baked goods. I thought ice cream was good. No, look at the label. It's not good. Make your own. We're going to start making our own ice cream because Avery loves ice cream. So we also have anti-caking agents because, you don't want stuff to stick together. You want it to look good, right? They want it to look good or you're not going to buy it. So where are the anti-caking ingredients? Powdered drink mixes. Hello, protein powder. Spices and salt. So check your spices when you're buying them. Kinder has some good spices. Some of their spices have extra stuff in it, but the majority of the Kinders that we use have good, clean ingredients, not a long list. It needs to be short. Thickening agents are in jams, jellies, yogurts, and sauces because it has to look nice. It has to be thick. It can't be runny. You won't be eating it. Pesticides residue. This is great because pesticides, some of them you can't even wash off your food, so you got to be really careful. So fruits and vegetables such as apples, strawberries, spinach, kale, it's in there. It's also going to be in your grains and legumes and your coffee and your tea. Now, we can take a minute to talk about coffee. We all know coffee is full of mold. It's full of mold. So when the coffee beans are picked, they go into these big, huge vats, and they just sit around until they're ready to process them, right? They don't really wipe them off. Do they wipe off every coffee bean? No, they don't wipe off any of the coffee beans. So the mold accumulates because they're sitting in these big, containers. I don't know what they call them. I call them crates, but they're probably not crates. But they're just sitting in there, and they're getting moldy. And as they go through the roaster, they don't wipe them off. They don't wash them down. They don't hose them off. They don't do anything. So the mold gets baked on to all those little coffee beans as it's going through the roaster. And then, of course, it's ground up and it ends up in your home. And a lot of times it's put in a plastic K-cup. So now not only do you have the mold, but you've got the microplastics as well because you're heating that K-cup up. So careful with those. And we have heavy metals and contaminants like mercury. Mercury is in large predatory fish such as swordfish, shark, king mackerel, and tuna. And so many of us love tuna, but you got to be careful. Lead is in contaminated water, older canned foods with lead solders, which I've not ever seen those. I mean, you would, maybe if your great great grandma died, she might have some in her house. Some leafy greens in polluted areas. Now, cadmium is in silverfish, liver, grains, and leafy vegetables. Now, cadmium, I'm not 100% sure what that is, but I don't want to see that on the label because I'm not 100% sure what that is. So I'm not going to eat that. We're going to pass on that. So you also have arsenic, which is in your rice-based products, and seafood. Then you have they're in fried potatoes, fries, chips, roasted coffee, and baked goods. Just like everything. So your PCBs and your dioxins are in fatty fish, dairy products, and animal fats. So processing byproducts and contaminants like trans fats, they're margarines, baked goods, fried fast foods. You're going to want to check the label for partially hydrogenated oil on the labels. You do not want partially hydrogenated oils anywhere. Like Trish and Alina and Angie said, find yourself a good olive oil. I know someone where you can get some good olive oil. She's right there staring at you. And you also want to use, you want to get the good olive oil. You don't want that. You can also use an avocado oil. So you figure it out. There's only really two oils that you should really use in your food. Really sorry, there's only two. So, and they're both good. So you have it's also so advanced glycation end products, and they're called AGEs. So AGEs, look for that. You don't want that because that's advanced glycation end products. So in other words, it's probably right there with the PFAs. So they're on grilled, roasted, fried, or broiled meats. You don't want to do that. So biphenyl A, which is BPA, and I may be pronouncing that wrong. Remember when the water bottles and they all started coming out saying they're BPA free? What a bait and switch that was, and we all bought it hook, line, and sinker. Oh, this plastic bottle's good for me because there's no more BPAs in it. Well, bullshit, because there's like 100,000 other chemicals that they didn't want you to pay attention to. They wanted every one of us to get as much microplastics jammed into our system as absolute possible to clog up all of the microcirculation. So yeah, and I fell for it. We all fell for it. We just do. Okay, so they're also in canned foods, bottled beverages, and certain plastic. So phthalates are in fatty foods, packaged in plastic, or stored in plastic containers. And I know that's really hard because what are you going to do? There isn't a glass container that works for everything. So what are you going to do? I try to wrap my stuff up in, non-bleach parchment paper. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just have to do like short term in a plastic container because you really can't put it in the freezer. You don't want to freeze anything in plastic, but then you've got your vacuum seal bags, which we all love, but they're plastic. Do the best you can. That's all we can do. If we minimize as much as possible, then we can live a longer, healthier life because it's impossible not to, like they've all said. So microtoxins are in peanuts, corn, wheat, tree nuts, coffee beans. And right here it says improperly stored or moldy. Well, the coffee beans are moldy, period. No doubt about it. So are your peanuts because they're not washing every little peanut. They don't have time for that. So antibiotic residue. So the antibiotics that are pumped into our food chain, our animals, these are for non-organic meat. So poultry, dairy products from treated animals. So if you're buying from the big box stores, they're getting them from the big, huge corporate farms, and they are all pumped up with chlorine, shot up with antibiotics, and also growth hormones too, so that they grow faster, bigger, faster. So that's a whole other conversation. So hormones are also, because those antibiotics have the hormones, they got injected with hormones, all this, it's now also in your meat. And this is terrible because this is just causing all kinds of problems. You go to the doctor's office and they say, oh, well, that's just normal aging. You're just getting old. That is total bullshit. So stop listening to that because I listen to that myself. I'm like, oh, maybe you're right. I am just getting old. Screw that. I am going to go into my grave looking good, feeling good 150 years from here because I'm paying attention to what's going on. Thank the Lord for the lockdown that we had because that took me into a deep dive on literally everything. Because what did I have to do? Nothing. Nothing but time on my hands. So let's research. Let's find out how deep this evil goes. I still haven't found the bottom. I haven't found the bottom of that evil. It is deep. So, I could talk all day. So we'll stop right here because I have many, many more pages to go, but we'll save it for some other get togethers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carolyn and Trish and Alina. I mean, as you can see, we could probably talk for hours about everything that's in our food, environment, and water. The bottom line is we need to protect ourselves. So if we can't possibly change the food and we can't change the water and we can't change all these things in the environment, then we take our power back and we get into things that actually can help get rid of these things out of the blood. Quantum nutrition. We can help with our resetting our colon, SEACT. We can actually help with getting rid of metals and parasites with touchstone products, boost our immune system up with carbon 60. Like, we found the top things to help clear all of this junk out of our body, brain, blood, tissues, lymphatic. Like, we take our power back. We get into things that work, not things that maybe might help, or maybe try this, or maybe there's no maybe in it, because we already know. We have the research, we have the science, we have the history. A lot of these things that we're into today has been back a long time ago, that kind of were like hidden, and now they're back. So essential oils has been in our history, that can help with our body. So we have to figure out what is the top things that we can do to make a difference. We can try to limit the microwave. We can try to, when we look at our food items and our labels in the grocery store, well, if it's got more than 6 items on it, no, I'm not going to buy that. Even though your kid is having a temper tantrum for having that item, we have to be the ones to stand up for our children, and also be the role model and be like, okay, why don't we get this versus this? And I think we should do another meeting on panel of swaps. We're going to have this instead of this. I think the swap video of all of us together, we should do that, because I've found so many swaps, so many brands that I do trust. And I just want to also say, this is going to be a downer, that a lot of our companies that are organic are truly not organic. We try our best on our part as a consumer, but we realize a lot of the main name brands bought out organic brands. And we can't put ourselves in a tizzy on all of these things. We're bringing awareness today, okay? But it's impossible to eat 100% clean. So what can we do? Like I said, take our power back. Quantum nutrition is the biggest thing that we all know by far. Like, been in Europe for 50 years, the US for 6 years, that is actually taking care of business, raising the frequency, alkalizing the blood, getting contaminants out of the blood. Like, there's nothing better than that, helping remove chemicals out of the bloodstream and our body. If we don't take action, as you know, all these things that are in our food, water, and environment, then we won't be here. And we'll struggle, and we'll be sick, and we'll be overweight, and we'll have depression, and we'll have brain fog, and we'll have chronic conditions. So now is the time to take our power back and know that we can change. We can be aware. We can look at our food items. We can, like they were saying, lessen the exposure by maybe picking a safer water. And we're going to do another one on water just by itself, because there's a lot to know just on our water supply. But we've got to know there's 240,000 microplastics in a bottle of water. We've got to know that these nitrates are hurting us. High fructose corn syrup is hurting us. All of these chemicals, additives, food dyes, all of these, hormones, hormone disruptor, like all of these things didn't exist 50, 60 years ago. So why is it now? Why are they spraying all of the food? Why are we been inundated with chemicals? And I'm going to tell you a heads up. It might be a good idea to start buying our food from Italy or Greece or Japan. Those are our blue zones. Let's bring that stuff in. I'm seeing all of these videos on TikTok that these people are banning foods here, and they're just getting it from Amazon, from Italy, from Japan, from Greece. Not a bad idea. The flour, because our bread is awful. I actually think out of every food that we have, I don't know what the panel thinks on this. I think bread is the worst when we look at our food. Of course, we're going to say prepackaged foods and all of that and all the junk food. We already know. But as far as what people are buying every day at the store, I think bread is probably the worst. Because if you look at a loaf of bread, how many items are in that bread? 20, 30 ingredients, maybe more. I mean, that's why bread is just what basic water, salt, yeast. It should not have all of that. So I think that everyone on the panel, pick your worst food on the market. What's the worst? Alina, for you, what is the worst? Alina, what do you think the worst food is at the store?
Sorry, I was muted. The worst food, I'm going to say, I can't just say one, anything that's
No.
been sprayed with glyphosate.
Yeah, glyphosate. Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Which is in the bread and the cereal
bread,
and everything. Yes.
soy, all that. That's the worst. That's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head right now for
Yep.
me. The worst.
I agree. Carolyn, what do you think? What's the worst?
Sorry, I was muted. Cereal, the cereal aisle.
Yep.
Stay out of that aisle. It is disgusting when you read the labels, and we've been eating it since we were little. I used to make it a snack. I love honeycombs so much. I'd pour them in a cup and I'd just eat honeycombs as a snack. Whoa. Wow. Yeah, stay out of that. The chips and stuff. A lot of them are good, but you got to look at the ingredients. Like I got some pretzels the other day that I thought would be good, and I got home and they had maltodextrin in it. And I'm like, I stop. I wanted to say pretzels, which is flour, sugar, and maybe some oil of some kind. And that should be it.
Right. Yes, I agree. What do you think, Trish? What's the worst food in the store?
Let's see.
You have to pick one.
Yeah, I know. All of it? No. I'm very highly sensitive to chicken now.
Mm.
So I would have to say chicken's a huge one for me. And then like pickles, why do you got to put that other stuff in there? Like it's just it's already preserved like in the vinegar and yeah, it's weird. So like yeah, chicken's a huge one for me.
Yeah. And I want to bring up a good point that Trish, and we'll close this today. A big point is this. When you eat your food, the next 3 days, pay attention to your body. If you are having joint pain or headaches or stomach pain, think about what you ate, because I remember if I would eat too much chicken, I would have joint pain. If I'd have gluten, I'd have pain in the body everywhere. So pay attention to the food, drinks, alcohol, soda, coffee. Pay attention to what you're doing. If your stomach's hurting after coffee, yes, of course, you can be lactose intolerant if you're using their creamer, but it's probably the mold and the acid. So, I mean, we got to pay attention. How is our body feeling after we eat? And you're going to know by intuition, oh gosh, I cannot eat chicken. I cannot have gluten. I can't do this. I can't do that. So please be aware of your body. Do a food journal when people are trying to cut out things. And of course, I have the hair test, blood tests on my website, which also can help you stay away from certain things. But make sure you're paying attention to your symptoms after you eat something, because that's a pretty big deal. That's your body saying no. And majority of it, of course, we know is the chemicals and stuff that's in the food, not actually the food itself. So, with gluten, it's probably gluten and glyphosate. So, pay attention to how you're feeling. Again, we could go on and on about everything, and I think everyone brought up really good points today. I hope you guys learn from us and learn through all of this, because nobody has a clue when they're not sick that all of this is going on. We pay attention when we do get sick or someone else is sick, and we're not taught anything when it comes to our food. So we are kept and low vibration when we are sick and we're eating toxic foods. And we don't want to be there anymore. We want to raise our vibration, raise our frequency, start to heal our body naturally. Our temples are going back to purity. and our temple is our body. So we grow spiritually and we all connect in a higher level. So we're bringing in the light, getting rid of the dark, and that's our awakening right now. And we're bringing a lot of topics to you for your own awakening. If you need any help or if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I hope that this gets out there to a lot of people. I will have this on my website and YouTube, and I'm sure the panel will have it on their site. Please reach out to any of us. We can help you. We know and we're doing the top products in the world, which is the Quantum Nutrition, Carbon 60, SCIT, and Touchstone. I do believe those are our top, and it's helping a lot of people, and we're seeing the results with ourselves and other people. And I hope that everyone gets involved with their own health. Any last minute things to say? Carolyn, anything last you want to say?
I really want to promote that body sensitivity test. It is a game changer. You really need to do that because it's not going to list just the foods that you're sensitive to, but all of the chemicals and fabrics and things. You'll be blown away. And you can also see how your vitamin levels are as well. So ours, fortunately, because we're doing the quantum nutrition, we're perfect. All the vitamins were perfect. So from that test, my husband and I did this test, and from that test, he took the time and figured out all of the items that we were not sensitive to, right? All of the food that we are not sensitive to. And then he created menus from there. So I haven't had to cook for a while because he does it. So when I want to do a video on cooking, I have to actually schedule my own kitchen time because he's in there cooking. So we've been eating so clean. And just real quick, I went out to a tasting dinner last week. All right. I, did the wine, the pairing, and all of that, and they bring these little foods. Well, I don't know what the hell kind of oil the chef used. The food was good. I don't want to say it wasn't good. It was delicious. I was in pain when I got home. I was uncomfortable, and they're small servings too. They were just, it's not like I ate a lot. But since we've been clean it's been weeks now. It's actually past the time where you can reintroduce the food back into you. And I don't want to because I kind of did last Friday night. And I was taking activated charcoal and it just flushed it out the next day. So that's something you guys can do too. When you do eat this bad food, you feel bad, get yourself some really good activated charcoal. There's a lot of places you can get it. Take that because I if I go out now, I just come home and take activated charcoal because I don't want it in my system anymore. But yes, take that body sensitive test.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point about activated charcoal. I have it on hand too. If you eat something that you shouldn't have or something's not agreeing with you, it's definitely good to flush out the system. Trish, what do you think? Any last minute thing that you would like to say?
You're not broken. You're not sick. You're just not being fed properly and nutritioned properly. And autoimmune, I tried to see if it would correlate and say that on the chat and see if it would say it, but it didn't want to indirectly say that our chemicals in our food are causing autoimmune. But so you could think for yourself, is my food making me sick? And if you question it, then you do need to do the elimination diet, get a test. I think Angie has it for what, $62, and then you have a discount. What's the discount code?
It's affordable.
This 10, and I'll put the links in this chat.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put a link in the chat for that. And definitely that's something that everyone should do. I need to send in my hair analysis, and then I will know a lot and I'll say stuff on my page. But there's hope. There's hope for you. So that's all I know. Just get in contact with one of us. Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you, Trish. Yeah, that test I think is important. It's bringing a lot of awareness in. Doing the hair or blood test. I'll put the links in the chat. Goddess10 is the code. Alina, any last minute thing you would like to say?
Yes. We've heard the saying, you are what you eat. I believe that you bring in the right nutrients into your body, quality nutrients, your body can heal, will heal. And we see labels that say organic, and Angie had mentioned, is it really that clean, with these labels? How about if we have labels that say poison free? I think that's a good one. I'll buy the food that says poison free on the box.
I love it.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I think that's a good point. I feel like over time, everything's going to change. The food industry, the healthcare, all of it. We're going to make that happen. I know we are. And we're heading towards the light. We are the light. We are feeding our soul. And remember, quantum nutrition is feeding us energy. It's plant nutrition. So we're going back to plants, and it's helping us with everything. And I love that. Gosh, I love everything that we're into today. And if you guys need help, also I'm a health coach, and I help a lot of people with during my appointments. And I just love these three ladies, and I'm so happy to be connected with them. And so happy that they're on the panel. And just, I hope you guys learn from all of us. And we're definitely going to share all the information that we know and keep going, never quit. Remember, we are the light, and we spread our light through kindness and love. And we are getting into our highest timeline to help as many people as we can. So thank you so much for all three of you, for your expertise, and for all the viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Hi,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye.